You are now starting your correctional process.
Hello everyone, welcome back to Planet Coaster and welcome back to the Smiler recreation, the one-to-one recreation in the video game Planet Coaster. Well, I over-explained that a bit. There is going to be a shorter episode today, and that's mainly because I did a lot of work off camera. The reason why I did so much work off camera was because it was boring work. The biggest bit of work I did was that massive support structure that goes underneath the first two, the first drop, not the first drop, the actual drop, and then the drop after the vertical lift. That was a pain to do, and it would just be boring to watch it as a time lapse, to be honest, because half of it was me just looking at Google Images and Google Maps for half an hour each time. So yeah, we started off the video with this catwalk. I've been putting off doing this catwalk for so long now, so I just thought, you know what, I'm moving on to this part of the recreation, let's just do the catwalk. It's going to take me some time to do this, and I'm just going to be fiddling about with some stuff. So whilst I am doing this catwalk, let's talk about some news. There's been a lot of news with Merlin recently. Of course, it was Merlin's announcement season. Merlin always announced their new rides and attractions for the following year in January, this time in January, and that's exactly what they've done this year. But there were some announcements. Legoland, they're retheming Atlantis into some sort of Lego City attraction, but the main bit of news comes from Alton Towers, and they fully confirmed their Gangster Granny ride. And now that is something that was heavily rumoured for a long time now. Everyone kind of knew it was coming, but the park never really confirmed it. It has now been confirmed, as well as the full retheme of Cloud Cuckoo Land, and I am over the moon with this news, to be honest. Not because it's David Walliams or anything, because I couldn't be less interested in that, to be honest. It's something new for the park, and it's something new for Cloud Cuckoo Land. The Cloud Cuckoo Land area has been in an absolute state for years now. Everyone remembers what Cloud Cuckoo Land used to be when the theatre was there back in 2009. You know, everyone remembers that, but it's just Cloud Cuckoo Land these days it's sad. It's sad to look at, and it's fantastic that it's finally getting its retheme that it deserves. It's finally getting all TLC'd up for the new ride, and this new ride is going to be a tracked ride system, but it's going to be like a trackless ride system. It's going to be very, very similar to Legoland's Ninjago ride system, which is Trio Tech. However, this is apparently going to be from Garmondale, which are a British company actually. They do a lot of dark rides, flat rides. They also did Go Jetters as well in Sea Beaver's Land. They manufactured that. Yeah, so Gangster Granny, it looks very interesting. It is a very interesting ride. It's going to be interesting to ride it this year, this season. Yeah, you know, it's not next year anymore, it's this year. Yeah, it's going to be exciting. Finally, a new dark ride for Alton Towers. I mean, I guess you could count the dungeons being a new dark ride, but you know, that dark ride system has been there since 1980 something, when it was around the world in 80 days, and then it was rethemed to Toyland Tours, and then it got rethemed to Charlie Chocolate Factory, and now it's been rethemed to the Black River Boat Ride, which is a part of the attraction of the London Dungeons. But anyway, so I've put the catwalk all the way down the pre-lift section, which has like the whole ha 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 thing. It's what I call it, the calm before the storm, really. You go through that first inversion and you're into that scene, or not scene, but sort of corridor that leads you up to the 45-degree lift hill. Now, in terms of the lighting sequence in this room, actually, why am I explaining it now? It's not going to be done until later on in the video, so I'll do that later on. But yeah, just copy and pasting this wall, and yes, I did do this off camera, and that's purely because it was a bit boring to watch as well. It was literally just making these two walls just so I can move on to that pre-lift section. That's all I wanted to do. Next episode of Smiler, now that I've done those two walls, I am going to be doing a bit of that queue line in that area, and also the correction block as well. I need to do the correction block. I've kind of figured out a way to do the projectors, but they're not actually going to be projected. It's just going to be like spotlights flashing on and off, and that's the most you can do in Planet Coaster. Unfortunately, you can't really get proper projection mapping in Planet Coaster, and even if you could, there isn't any high quality versions of the actual projections used in real life on the internet at the moment. So now I'm starting the like ha 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 writing on the wall. Now, I was very tempted just to do this as a Theme Maker's Toolkit item, but I thought maybe using art shapes just might be a bit easier to do, because the hypnotizer sort of things, the hypnotizer spirals, was the first time I did Theme Maker's Toolkit, and that was an absolute nightmare. And you'll see later on in this episode I actually did more Theme Maker's Toolkit for a sort of the Smiler logo that goes along the maintenance shed, and that was so annoying to do. I think the Theme Maker's Toolkit website rejected the build like 10 times or something, and then even when it accepted it, when I loaded up in the game, there was no textures, there was no materials, and yeah, it took an age to do, but eventually I got there. Now, initially I was going to do the arrows with the rectangle art shapes, or not the rectangle, the cuboid art shapes that are in the game, and I thought, you know, they're probably easy to work with, and you know, they're the go-to option. However, those rectangle ones are only good for when it's a full arrow. The arrows along the wall aren't all full arrows. Some of them are like this, what I'm doing now, where they actually stop so they don't intersect with the ha 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 writing, and I wasn't really able to do this with just the standard rectangle pieces, so here I'm trying to use sort of triangle pieces. Maybe that could work out, but I think I eventually realised no, the triangle pieces aren't really going to work out either, or a mixture of triangle and rectangle. I realised, hang on, those triangles could work, but only if I use them on my own. So what I'm doing here is using just purely triangles. Yes, they're not going to have the sort of the degree, not the 45 degree sort of thing that the arrows have. They are going to be slightly more vertical, if you get what I mean. But unfortunately, that's just the way I'm gonna have to do it if I really want it to look good, basically. So yeah, and it turns out using those triangle pieces was a good idea, because absolutely fantastic, to be honest. And yeah, I'm kind of using the side of the 3D square piece just to actually get that flat-sided arrow so that it doesn't intersect with a ha ha ha. And there it is, I'm pushing it into where it should be right now, and you know, you see how it goes flat so it doesn't intersect with a ha ha ha. It is there in real life. I haven't just done that in Planet Coaster to make it look nice. It is there in real life. Everything in this recreation, if it's there in real life, it will be done in this recreation. Well, there will be some things that will be missed out, but most of those things will just be things that you can't do in Planet Coaster. To talk about the lighting before I get onto the maintenance shed, you know, the lighting sequence, you have the orange lights above, they all flash on. I tried to do this, I really tried to replicate it, but there's no piece. There is just no good piece to use, and the only pieces that look similar to it can't be used as a trigger sequence. They can't be used on the trigger, which is just annoying, really. The only ones that you can use properly on the trigger were like the spotlight pieces, and they look nothing like the bar lights, not bar lights, fluorescent lights, that's what they're called, the fluorescent lights. So unfortunately I wasn't able to do that, and so just copy and pasting those yellow arrows all along the wall and putting the ha 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 in, and I looked at this and thought, that looks quite good. So then moving on to the last clip of the time-lapse of this episode, we are doing, well, not we but me, we are doing, oh, I said we again, I don't know why I say we, it's just a force of habit really. I am doing the maintenance shed, and now the maintenance shed isn't final just yet. I'm going to do more of the backside of the maintenance shed when I get onto the station building, which should be very, very soon actually. And you might see there at the top, this FreeMaker's Toolkit is finished building. That's whilst I was trying to make the Smiler logo for the maintenance shed. And this maintenance shed was really easy to do. It wasn't like Nemesis's maintenance shed where it's just a pain, or Wickerman's maintenance shed, which was also a pain. This was such an easy maintenance shed to do. Thank you, Alton Towers, for designing the maintenance shed so simply. But yeah, I'm really glad of how it came out. In terms of these grey sort of pieces on the roof of it, I believe those are supposed to be skylights, so I might replace those with some glass pieces, just so they actually are skylights. So, but yeah, you might notice I didn't put a door there for the track to go in. That'll be in a couple episodes time. And here I'm looking through my FreeMaker's Toolkit, and there it is. That took so many tries to do. Unfortunately, with that, it's only 8 meters long, because that's the maximum you can go in FreeMaker's Toolkit. I'm truly trying to pack it up here now because the video's ended. So thank you very much for watching. Please consider subscribing, because a lot of you aren't, and I can see that on my analytics. So thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you all very soon. Goodbye.